Oh my god, Attack on Titan is so good. That was just one episode. There was so much stuff to talk about here. I mean, first of all, you got the return of Annie. You got Hichu. Hitch is great. We all love Hitch, right? And then we got, oh my god, at the very end, Hanj and Levi are actually still alive, and there is a lot of great stuff to talk about with that Floch scene, and so much more in between with all of that, including Annie's backstory. This episode was phenomenal from beginning to end, so let's go ahead, let's jump right into it and break down this episode piece by piece. This first scene is actually really good at setting up generally just like what's happening in the world of Attack on Titan. And I think this is a very important scene because, well, it focuses on the remaining people on the ground that are helpless, that of in need. And we see Hitch, who is there just helping people out, you know, on ground zero, trying the best that she can do to help the people that are trapped under rubble, stuff like that. And the general feeling actually amongst the people is kind of divided in a way, but it's divided into seemingly just sets of extremes. So there are people that are really scared of, and they're very unsure of what's going to happen. There's a hurt woman that Hitch helps, and she blames Eren for losing her home, losing her life. And there are even some members of the public, of the civilian population, that actually believe that this is just a small sacrifice. And you really get the idea behind how vicious these Yaegerists people are and how much they believe in this revolution that's occurring. So much so that to them, a sacrifice of their son or a sacrifice of somebody's life that means to them is simply a drop in the bucket. It doesn't mean anything, which I think shows how just ruthless and cold the Jaegerists really are. And Hitch even realizes this, and members of the Survey Corps, or they're not Survey Corps, I forget their actual name. Help me in the comments below, goddammit. Hitch, they realize though that they need to protect themselves from these civilians because they're chanting things like, you know, dedicate your hearts, and we've already seen what Jaegerists can do, and I'm sure they've already seen that the people that, the person that they're looking up to, the figure that they're supporting, is the one who has caused all of the Wall Titans to stomp out everything. And so, yeah, they arm up, and I would too. It's scary. I mean, it really is. That being said, Hitch goes into a building and notices that there's water coming from the basement. This is actually the building in which Annie was in. So following the drops of water that are around and all the footsteps, Hitch goes into a dark room, and Annie is there and basically captures Hitch. And Hitch, I've just noticed this. Hitch is pretty tall, and Annie's kind of a shorty. That is something I didn't expect. You wouldn't, seeing as she's, this colossal female Titan or whatever, you would think like, wow, she like knows martial arts and stuff like this. She's probably like this super tall physical specimen, like this absolute badass, this tank, because she really is. I mean, she definitely is, but in reality, she's shorter than Hitch. Either Hitch is a pretty tall girl. I don't know these girls' heights, but either Hitch is a very tall girl or Annie is just, like 3'2" or something. Maybe she's gonna need a step ladder to actually tower over Hitch, which is crazy. And what's funny here is that Hitch actually easily takes down Annie and calls her about as weak as a grandma. I thought that was good. Also as well, I'm just never used to Hitch's voice. I look at Hitch and I go, oh, that's like an angelic sounding, cute kind of anime voice, sort of very youthful, very exuberant, but she's actually got this sort of husky, deep, throaty kind of voice, and it's really cool. Like it really sounds like her voice is coming from her chest, and it's like, it totally doesn't fit the way you'd think her character would sound, but it does at the same time, and that's Hitch is cool, man. Who doesn't love Hitch? So she goes to basically retain Annie, but she's already cut herself, so there's not really much that she can do though. And Hitch calls this out as well, though I do wonder what would happen if Annie was able to turn into a Titan here, or if she is. What would that Titan form look like? Because if we go way back to season 1, I've seen season 1 so many times, it's ridiculous. By the way, I think we're gonna come out with a review on Attack on Titan season 1 here pretty soon, so we're gonna get a pretty in-depth look at that again. But if you remember in season 1, when Eren was transforming a bunch, there's at a certain point where he ran out of energy. I think this even happened in season 2 or 3 too as well. he was only able to partially transform or whatever it may have been, what have you. So I wonder actually what would have happened if she were to transform into the female Titan. Would anything happen? That's a very good question. I want to ask you guys down in the comments below, what do you think would have happened? In the next scene, both Annie and Hitch are in the horse stables. They're trying to get a horse to escape and go where Annie needs to go. And what's interesting here is we figure out that Annie has learned about all of Hitch's boy problems, but as well, she was pretty much generally conscious during the time that she was in the crystal, so she could generally remember and make out things that Armin or Hitch were saying, which is why she's so caught up with the events of what's happening now. Also, of course, she heard Aaron's voice as the first thing she heard when she woke up, so it's, it makes sense as to why she would know how much she would know. She's got all of this intel and information, and some of that intel and information is how Hitch has all of these boy troubles. So that's funny, I suppose, and also very important, very, very important. I think that maybe Annie could help Hitch out with some of her dating, woes, so to speak. Maybe we could, have Annie be like, hey, Hitch, maybe learn some martial arts and, force the boyfriend that you want into submission to make them become your boyfriend. Or not. Or you can just twirl around your boyfriend until they break their back and die. Or not. It's up to you, Hitch. I'm the dating master here. See, I want to see that scene now. I want to see that scene. That'd be funny. Also, this is kind of the episode, I guess, where people really ship Hitch and Annie. And listen, I ain't gonna lie. I'm a male. I'm okay with this. That was a joke, people. So Hitch asks Annie about all the killing, all of the decisions she's made through her life, and Annie simply just never thought about what she was doing during that. And that makes sense because in Marley, they were praised for killing people as it was a way to atone for their sin as Eldians. They were brainwashed, and this is something that Gabi experienced. So this is the truth. That this is a very good reason to do what she did. And essentially they learned, Hitch and the others learned from Armin basically, is that in a way they've kind of in the past tried to stop this cycle, which is kind of what they were working towards. But for Annie, it was never really something she cared about, with saving the world or working their way up through Marley's ranks or whatever their plan was, because it was kind of vague the way Hitch said it. But it seems like in some ways they had this plan, this idea as Titan shifters and what they were doing in the military to make a change. But Annie just, she never cared about any of that stuff. And it makes sense as we learn about Annie's backstory here in a second, but I love how Hitch uses her experience with the Yaegerists to ask if Annie believes that any of the deaths that she caused was a necessary sacrifice. And I love the use of the word sacrifice, because this is something that the civilians, the Yaegerists, or the people that believe in Eren, follow Eren and Yaegerists way and all that stuff, that's the word they used. That's what they said when they said it doesn't matter, your son's death was a necessary sacrifice. That to me kind of shows that in a way Hitch sort of sees the Yaegerists, and maybe by extension Eren Yeager, as someone who is just like Marley, trying to just kill people to reach their goal, even if it means killing their own people. It's a subtle little use of that word, but that's one of the reasons why that scene in the very beginning I think was really important, because you can draw those connections with this scene and that first scene to make at least a theory that Hitch doesn't really think highly of Eren Yeager or any of the Yaegerists. In fact, even thinks of them in the same light as Marley, which is some powerful stuff and really good writing, actually. So we learn about Annie's backstory. It's kind of tragic and sad in a way. Annie was abandoned as a child as her mother was cheating with an Eldian, and so Mr. Leonehart took her in as just a little old baby, and he trained her to basically become a Marleyan soldier to improve his own life. And really a lot of their relationship throughout these formative years, her value to him was basically just being a warrior candidate. And one day she became stronger than Mr. Leonehart and actually just beat him up pretty good. And he even rejoiced over this. He thought this was a good thing. This is some really classic, oh, you have passed the test because Oh, your sensei. My voice is going out. I can't do that voice, whatever that voice was. So after all of this happened, she became, a warrior candidate, and Annie stopped caring about literally everything, even her own life. She had no purpose, no direction. She just simply didn't care. And one day, the day that Annie was going to leave on, going to Paradise Island, Mr. Leonehart told Annie to come back alive and that he was actually sorry for what he did to her. And truth be told, actually saw Annie as his daughter. This made a huge difference in Annie's life to the point of where now her goal is to getting back to her father. She doesn't care what she has to do. She doesn't care if she has to do all of this stuff that she's already done over again. As long as she gets back to her father, she will be happy and all will be good in her life. And she also realizes the mistakes that she's made. She's done not caring in her life, and she's taking full accountability for herself and for her past actions and actions moving forward. I love that. It shows a growth in Annie's character, and I've seen a lot of people with memes and whatever of so Annie, you're a good guy now? And then all the Survey Corps are like, yeah, cool, we'll just forgive you for killing all of our comrades and stuff like that. And I think that really puts those memes to rest. Not that they were serious in the beginning anyways, it's just a funny little thing, but I think it really shows that Annie's character in this moment has improved, developed, and changed. And I think what the rumbling does, besides, being a threat to the world and flattening it's like a nuclear bomb in many ways, nuclear war. I did a whole video about the history of the rumbling. You can check that out if you want. What I love about it, it's almost like a great equalizer in many ways. It makes people realize the wrong things that they've done in their life, and it makes them value those things that they should have valued all along. It puts everybody on a leveled playing field in many ways. Now they're all working to just survive in this new, cold, awful world, and you see moments like these where Annie's like, yeah, I screwed up big time, but I don't really necessarily regret it in the grand scheme of things. If I have to do it again, I will. I think stuff like that is really important in a series like this. Shows there's a lot of character growth, and I think the same can sort of be said for Hitch as well. She's largely static throughout this episode, but once again, I think it's those subtle hints in this scene where, you compare the Yaegerists and that of Marley, and all that stuff is really brilliant, I love that kind of stuff. This is why Attack on Titan is so great. While these next moments are super important, I'm going to gloss over them because, listen, I don't want to keep you guys here all day, but pretty much the Eldians in the internment zone kind of overthrow and start to fight back. And then as well, Shadis tells what is left of the Survey Corps to join the Yaegerists, but not to lose their way. Don't lose your way. And to rise when they're called to action and overthrow the Yaegerists when need be. I love Shadis. He's great. He's awesome. He can fight a bear. Who doesn't love Shadis? Next scene is Armin is leaving to stop Connie, and Armin realizes that they need Gabi and Falco to basically negotiate with Reiner and Pieck. And Armin, really, he's thinking long term with this, and I commend him for this because now they're dealing with a situation where pretty much the rest of the world is going to be flattened, so the people that are left on Paradise have to be happy and be, willing to work with one another, or they're just going to continue to war what's left on Paradise. So Armin is really, really smart. And Mikasa actually asks about what they're going to do with Eren, and he just basically straight up snaps at Mikasa and says Eren is a lost cause. And you could just see Mikasa, her reaction to that. It's almost like the worst feelings that she's had about what's going on, especially with Eren, are just coming true, and she is doom and glooming. She's becoming super duper depressed, emo Mikasa, and it's really sad because Mikasa is adorable. You gotta put a smile on Mikasa. No frowns. Bad frowns. So Armin really composes himself, and then he starts comparing himself to Erwin again. This is something that keeps happening throughout the series, at least, after the events of season 3 and Erwin's death. And I think it makes a lot of sense for Armin's character because he's trying to find the strength to be who he is and stand out on his own, but he's making the mistake of comparing himself to Eren, which came before, which is something that actually Hanji-san does. And I know a lot of people, apparently a lot of you guys get really mad when I pronounce Mikasa as Mikasa and Hanji-san as Hanji, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Because who cares? It's Mikasa and Hanji-san. It's not a big deal. So yeah, that's it. Calm down, guys. So now they're with the Browse family, and Kaya is basically told what Mia's real name is, which is Gabi, of course, and Kaya thinks it's a weird name. And I just love Gabi's reaction. It's just, huh? And then they hug. So that was really nice. I like how they've made up. I like how they've embraced each other as this friendship or weird pseudo family thing. You know, Gabi is the new Sasha after all. She's Sasha Browse #2. I mean, we should really, if you think about it, we should petition to change Sasha's name to just Inferior Gabi. I'm joking. A lot of people get really angry when you compare Gabi and Sasha for some reason, so I like to toy with them. It's really funny. So super asshole Floch is back, and man, Floch is just a really, really awesome character. I love how well he's written. So Eren basically told Floch his real plan about 10 months prior to this event, and Floch, he's so interesting. I love the way he thinks about things, because there's so much to talk about. I may do a video on him this week. If you guys want that, please leave a comment below if you guys want like a breakdown of Floch, and as well, leave a like if that's something you're interested in or want. So Floch, he believes that he would rather live and submit to others' ideals than to die with pride. And I have to ask you guys, what would you do in this scenario? So if you were caught between joining the Yaegerists or basically just joining the rest of humanity and dying on, what hill would you die on? Would you rather submit to the Yaegerists' ideology and live out the rest of your life under this iron fist kind of rule where only one ideal can reign supreme? Or would you try to live under this ideal of freedom, of constantly warring? Because as we kind of learn with this scene, Floch, he believes that he is going to wipe out any resentment for Eren, which to me shows that he doesn't fight for the freedom that he thinks he believes in. He's actually fighting for what I believe is an oppressive sort of reign, a rule over people. Like who says, like, Floch is not good, y'all. The Yaegerists aren't a good group of people. Like, Floch literally just said, if there are people that resent Eren, I'm gonna kill them. And he did. We saw it literally seconds before. He shot the dude in the head like 3 or 4 times. He shot him in the hand, he let him suffer, and then shot him in the head, and then shot him 2 more times in the head. So, I ask again, Yaegerists or humanity? Which side are you on? Or if you want to throw in like Paradis and Marley, you can as well. But to keep it simple here, because I don't even think Marley is as bad as what was on display here in some instances. As a nation, of course, they're not really comparable because Marley is, like I said, a nation, and the Yaegerists are just a ragtag group of revolutionaries. And so the end scenes sort of play out. Falco realizes Connie is up to something, even though he has amnesia, because of course he just was turned into a Titan, so he has some short-term memory loss of actually what happened. But as well, Hanji and Levi are alive, my friends. That's right! I called it! I knew it when they jumped into that river that they would survive. Because why? Because they're not gonna kill characters off screen, especially 2 of the most important characters in Attack on Titan's history, Hanji-san and Levi. Come on, they're not gonna kill those characters off screen. So this was really cool. I also, Pieck. Come on, y'all. Pieck looking good in this episode, right? She's great. I love that constant, I just woke up out of bed and I'm not really grumpy, but I just don't really care of what's going on right now. I just want to go back to bed. I love that look. Who doesn't love that look? Also, her hair is so nice. And also Magath. Magath's there too. Oh my God. And then the backdrop is of the rumbling. Dude, this was so good. This is a great way to end this episode. This episode in general was phenomenal. I literally just went about 35 minutes recording what is in this video. Of course, you know, I'm editing all that down, but man, holy crap. This is a great episode. Put down in the comments what you guys think about this episode. Of course, make sure to, you know, come back to the channel throughout the week. We'll have up a whole bunch of other videos, but as well, if you haven't already, check out some of these videos that are appearing on the screen right now, and also check out my Teespring store. We just added brand new merch and we lowered the prices, so get yourself some t-shirts. They're great, they're cheap, they're awesome. I love you all. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.